So Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown wants to be traded. There are reports that he actually wants to go to the 49ers. That's pretty cool. But I want to make a statement. I would not trade for Antonio Brown. I would not trade for Antonio Brown. I know it's a bit controversial. I don't really care. I can acknowledge he's the best wide receiver in football. I love what he does. His body control, the way he tracks the ball. He's always in the right place. Antonio Brown's unbelievable. But there are two big reasons why I would not trade for him. The first one is this. Antonio Brown comes at a huge cost. And it's not just his salary. First of all, you'd have to trade for Antonio Brown. You trade with the Steelers, you trade to a first-round pick, probably more than that as well. You'd give up a lot to get Antonio Brown onto your roster. But then even after you have Antonio Brown, you've traded for him, given up a lot, you still got to pay the man. And Antonio Brown is a $22 million salary cap hit next year. No, thank you. You can pay like 4 or 5 starters with that money. I'd rather pay 4 or 5 defensive starters than pay $22 million to Antonio Brown. I'm out. No way. I mean, $22 million is more money than I would pay the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. I'm just not comfortable giving a wide receiver that much money, even Antonio Brown. But okay, let's consider. Let's say you do make the trade. You trade for Antonio Brown. You pay him $22 million. Then what? What's going to happen? Well, he'd be a ton of fun to watch. Antonio Brown is going to be incredible. He'll make great catches, have really cool touchdowns. He'd be fun. If you're a team that wants to have fun and you're looking for interesting, go for Antonio Brown. But the question is, how much of an impact does Antonio Brown actually make? Let's talk about just wins and losses right now. First of all, let's think about this. Well, Antonio Brown plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are they doing right now? They're sitting at home. They're not playing. They didn't make the playoffs. And so if you think that trading for Antonio Brown is going to put you over the edge and get you to the playoffs, you're wrong. I'm really sorry, but he doesn't make a huge impact. And then you look around the entire NFL and you go, well, let's look at all the best wide receivers. The best and the highest paid wide receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. No playoffs. Julio Jones. Oh, the Falcons missed the playoffs. Interesting, huh? How about Jarvis Landry and the Cleveland Browns? Oh, they had a pretty good year. They had a lot of hope. Oh, but they still didn't make the playoffs. Antonio Brown, best wide receiver in football, didn't make the playoffs. And so, Antonio Brown, again, I acknowledge, amazing, incredible, ton of fun to watch. He'd have a lot of great touchdowns. Like, if he goes to the 49ers next year, it'd be so much fun to watch that team. However, at $22 million, he's not worth the price tag. I don't think giving up 4 or 5 defensive starters for the $22 million that Antonio Brown is worth to maybe not even make the playoffs because he doesn't have that much of an impact on games, I'm good. I don't know. I get it. It's like a donut or like something that you really, really want. It's just this juicy thing that you can't wait to have. And as an offensive coordinator, you look at Antonio Brown, he opens up a lot of other stuff, right? If you Kyle Shanahan, for example, with the 49ers, if he brought in Antonio Brown, not only would he have a lot of productivity from the plays he makes, the defense would have to give more attention to Antonio Brown, which would open up other people. I get it. I understand why Antonio Brown is so enticing as a receiver and why people want him on their team. I just don't think he's worth it. The $22 million, he's not worth it. You got to give up, because it's not just $22 million. Again, got to give up probably a draft pick, a couple good players. You got to give up a lot just to trade for him. Then you got to pay him. No, thank you. I'm good. I do not want any part of a trade involving Antonio Brown. I would not trade for Antonio Brown at all. Oh, I hate doing this. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I really don't like self-promotion. It makes me feel like a used car salesman, but I got to do it. So if you don't know, this is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It's my favorite thing in the world. And you can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can find it on YouTube. You can find the full entire hour-long podcast on YouTube. You can also find shorter breakout clips like the one you just watched. Please do me a favor. If you like anything I had to say, maybe you hate me and you're mad about something, share this podcast with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to do. Help me grow by telling your friends about this show.